Clyde, what was your life like prior to the war?
It was during the Depression in the 30s, and times were real hard, so we had to work real hard to make a living. I had, let's see, one sister and 5 brothers, and so we done a lot of work. We lived in the last house on 10th Street in Junction City. And that's where I grew up, and that's where I went to school. Junction City.
Okay. Was World War II then as controversial as the war with Iraq is today?
No.
No, everyone was for it.
Everybody was wanting to do their job.
How old were you when you joined the military?
How old was I? Let's see.
24.
Huh?
24.
26?
24.
Okay. Were you drafted or did you enlist?
Yes, I was drafted. I waited until they called me, and they loaded up a bunch of boys in Junction City in a bus and hauled us down to Fort Leavenworth to be inducted.
Okay. Where all were you stationed in the United States prior to departing for Europe?
Oh, my. We were stationed many, many places. We ended up in California, but we started out in Camp Walters, Texas, and we were in Santa Barbara, wasn't it, Marcio? And Alabama. Tennessee, because I can't remember all of them, but we were stationed in good many places in the United States, taking our basic training, things we had to know. We even were in Virginia for a while, learned how to climb the mountains with a pack on our back. That was kind of interesting. It was hard, though.
What was your position in the military?
It was I call myself a radio operator. We handled the messages from the headquarters to companies. So that they said the main message that we had to get through was where the troops were, so we could notify the kitchen, furnish the food. That was very, very important. As they say, Army travels on the stomach or something like that.
Okay. What were some of your expectations upon entering the war?
I don't know, really. I knew I would be sent a long ways off, be isolated from my friends and relatives.
Where were you stationed in Europe?
In Europe, where did we go, Marcio?
What are we doing?
Okay, they landed at Omaha Beach in the Normandy invasion. They were the 10th unit to go in, or division to go in, I'm sorry. And then the battle at St. Lo, when they took that over, the city was just simply in ruins. And then Mortain, and these battles here. Nancy was another big battle. That was a city that they took over. They had to go in and get the Germans out of the city, we're still in there. And then the Battle of Ardennes, I'm not sure I'm pronouncing this right, and the Roer River, And they advanced to the Elbe River, and that was where they set out, waiting for the Russians to take Berlin, set on the Elbe River. But the Battle of the Bulge was the last battle that Pete was in, and that was Christmas of '44, Christmas time of '44.
Did you have any special or unique responsibilities or duties or missions while you were in the military?
Our main job was to get the messages from our captain, or the captains down to the troops, tell them what to do, where to go, and where we were going to be that night. And a lot of times it was pretty rough. I remember many times sleeping out in the rain, and putting up with the weather was probably one of the biggest problems. Parcels that was easy to carry, and easy to use. But a lot of times we had regular meals. I remember one time one of the natives of France there came and was complaining to our captain about the soldiers were stealing his cattle. And they called the cook in and wanted to know where he was getting the food, the meat. And he said, where do you think you've been getting that food that you've been eating every day? They butchered the cows. We had a lot of farm boys, and they butchered the cows and put fresh meat on the table many, many times.
What were your duties in the war?
My duties in the war were to take the messages from our office, from our captain, and relay them to the soldiers that were doing the fighting. And we had to make sure that they knew where the troops were, because the troops had to have food. That was one of the most important things. They say the soldiers traveled on their stomachs, and they depended on that food. And many times, maybe I said this before, but I remember one of the natives there in France coming.
You told me.
Oh, okay. Anyway, complaining about the soldiers stealing his cattle, and he went to the native went to the captain, and the captain found out that those steaks he was been eating was off of this farmer's land. So anyway, off of his cattle. So they had to settle that up in a hurry.
Okay. What surprised you most about the war?
What surprised me most is the fact that we could cover so much ground, walking a lot of the time. Sometimes we rode in jeeps if it was convenient, if they had room. But we did have a lot of surprises, but we were never really surprised too much by the enemy, because we kind of had them on the run, and they were looking for us more than we were looking for them, I think.
Okay. How did the civilians of Allied countries treat you in Europe?
Most of them treated us real kindly, because we came in there and were running the Germans out, and they had been controlled by the Germans for quite a while. And they really appreciated. We went into the town of Nancy, France, and boy, the civilians there, the people in the town, just gave us all kinds of 20 years old. You could talk to the kids, but we couldn't wasn't supposed to associate with the girls.
Did you ever break that rule?
Well, probably did. Probably did.
Okay. What was the hardest thing you had to do in the war?
Probably notifying the parents that somebody was killed. We had the young fellows come in there that hadn't been in the Army only a few months and were sent up on the front lines and never returned. It was sad. And our main job was, in the communications, was to get the messages from the captain back to the troops and from the troops to the captain, so that they would know what each other was doing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And, I don't know what else I could say along that line.
Okay. How had America changed when you got home?
Well, it was really a joyful time to get back into the United States. And some of us had enough points from the battles we'd been in Europe that we got to stay home. And I remember walking out on West 10th Street where my folks lived and surprising my mother a whole lot. She didn't know I was home. Anyway, we had people were really joyful that the war was over. Most of them came home, but some of them had to go back over into Europe. Oh, not Europe, but Asia, and fight over there if they didn't have enough time in or enough points.
You had enough points to stay
Yeah.
home?
I had enough points to stay home.
Were you able to return to life as normal?
Yes, more or less. I know jobs were plentiful. Everybody wanted, servicemen. And that's when they were hiring a lot of women on the railroad, especially the telegraph. Send messages, handle the telegrams. When I would go to work in the morning sometimes, we didn't have a nighttime telegraph operator in town, so we would get the telegrams down at the depots. And I'd show up in the morning and they'd have about 10 telegrams for me there, and I'd have to copy them all down and deliver. Sometimes we had held them until the telegraph opened in the morning. But we did have lots of communications on the old telegraph key. We had to learn how to read the dots and dashes.
So you came home and got a job right away?
Yes, jobs were plentiful. I don't remember if the telegraph, had to go back to school, went out to Denver to school to get my telegraph training. And all of us fellows in the school that had experienced the telegraph in our communications in the Army or Navy, we learned the new code real fast within 2 weeks. But those that didn't know it at all, that went into telegraphing, probably took 6 months to learn to read the little dots and dashes.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
What career did you go into?
Well, communications, I guess you'd call it. I applied for a job with the railroad, and all they would take was just somebody that knew how to telegraph, And we had lots of girls that were working on the railroad at that time, and some of them were excellent telegraph operators. just tap out those messages on those keys, real fast. And, they hired a lot of girls there for a while. But as the boys, more and more boys came back from the service, they kind of let some of the girls go. I know some of them went into the headquarters company in Denver, or Kansas City. So some of the girls stayed on, but some of them quit. But they were excellent operators, those girls were.
How long did you work for the railroad?
30 years. And of course, we were probably the last ones in town to do away with the old telegraph instruments. We were probably real slow to switch over the rail. It seemed like the railroads were real slow to switch over to modern communication. But when they did, they went all out.
Thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome.